Well, welcome to the Stone Roadie podcast. It's the one you don't want to miss. It stars Craig Reed, the Stone Roadie, and Griff, the rocket scientist. Let's not forget Kathy Godsey and all the old friends that come along. Lord, we'll be talking Skynyrd and leaving you with a song.
Podcast 64, action. All righty then, looky here. How about that new opening song written by Bill Major? That's pretty funny. You know what? Griff told me he's only been playing guitar for a year, and I'm impressed, man. That's really that's really a good arrangement, you know. But yeah, he's got a little exit part of that song too, yeah. But yeah, welcome to the Stone Roadie Show. All the skin information y'all want to know is on the Stone Roadie Show. And like I said, this is podcast number 64, and we're gonna do a little celebration. We went over the 1,000 mark, you know, and we did it in a year. You know, yeah. That's from what they say. You're really lucky if you can get 1,000 subscriptions a year. So we want to thank all you loyal fans of the Stone Roadie Show. All the ski information y'all want to know is right here with Craig Reed, the Stone Roadie, and Griff Martin, the rocket scientist, and every once in a while Kathy Godsey too, you know. But I think today we're gonna get into Gary's funeral. Got the pamphlet here that there's so much controversy about. Well, I knew that was going to cause a stink when I put that sucker up on eBay for 99 cents. Yeah, I'm trying to pull a big scandal on that one for 99 cents. And I'm even throwing the pick in too, you know, and I'm sure somebody's going to have that hanging on the wall, whoever the lucky winner is, you know. But you know, I don't know what they're going to think about that guy. You know, I'm a disgusting individual for selling Gary's brochure to the funeral on eBay. You know, I'm trying to make money off of him. I put it up for 99 cents, you know, and if I was going to try to make a, you know, I could see if I put it up for a starting bid of $500, but it's 99 cents, man. You know, I mean, how am I ruining the legacy of Lynyrd Skynyrd by making some loyal fan happy? And I'm sure they'll have that hanging on their wall, you know. And out at Ronnie's grave, you know, there's a thing out at Ronnie's grave, and it said, you know, a man is not dead until he's forgotten, you know. So somebody's going to have that on their wall, and it's going to show Gary, who's passed away, you know, but he's not forgotten. He's hanging on somebody's wall. And you know what? I bet everybody out there would like to have one of these. But unfortunately, I only grabbed about a dozen. You know, and you might think, oh, you dirty, rotten SOB. You didn't leave anybody for anybody else. Well, I'm going to tell you the story about that. We got there, and I didn't select a seat. So by the time they said everybody's seated, you know, the seats people were sitting in them. So I just went out into the lobby area where these pamphlets were being stashed, and I went over to the auxiliary place where they had a video thing set up over there. But me and Artie and Karina Gaines and Barry Rapp and a few other people were over there. But it was there was like a 30-second delay or something between, you could hear Travis Tritt over here singing, and over here he's still messing with the guitar, you know. So I kind of got annoyed with that. So I went over and just stood outside the regular, where the ceremony was going on, and I sat out there the whole time, and Ricky gave a speech, and Johnny gave a speech, and Dale got up, and she said she was going to do something out of the ordinary. She was going to say what Gary's last words were, you know, and she was pretty upset about the whole thing. But she said Gary had felt good all day, and then all of a sudden he was laying there and he said, "Call 911." And she said it wasn't 2 minutes after he said, "Call 19111," that he was dead. But she said she said his last words were, "Hold my head up." And she did. She grabbed his head and held it up. He wanted to see, I guess, what was going on. And she said, but I think he was saying, "Hold your head up. Don't let this destroy you and everything. You got grandkids to take care of, and live the rest of your life as happy as you can." And she said, "I'm going to do that, but I'm going to strive to be a better person so that when I do pass away, I can see Gary again." And I thought that was real cool. And she said, "You know what? But when he died, when I realized that he had died," she said, "I was happy for him." She said, because he wasn't suffering anymore. And she said for the last little bit, he'd been taking steroids, and he was up and down and up and down. And a good friend of mine said that he would talk to Gary, and Gary said he was just kind of an invalid, and he was just hanging around the house, So I don't guess his last days were, well, Dale said he played with their grandkids and he enjoyed everything. But, I think he was kind of miserable, and maybe he was welcoming, just moving on, But I tell you what, like I said before, when I walked up to that casket, I didn't know what I was going to say to Gary. Gary and me were best friends. Seriously, I'm just not saying that off the cuff, but Alan and Gary were very, very close too, probably closer than I ever was. But I was trying to think, if Alan was still alive, what would he do if he was in my position, walking up here and seeing Gary like this? And I didn't know how I was going to react, depending on how Gary looked. I didn't know if I was going to break down or what, but I wanted to hold it together, And Gary, when he went to Leon's funeral, I'll never forget this, said he looked down and said, "Who the hell is that?" And that he didn't even recognize Leon, and because he had his beard shaved and his hair was cut and stuff. And so when I pulled over to look down at Gary, he looked good. He looked good. He didn't look like he just looked like he was sleeping. He didn't look dead, So I said this before, I put both of my arms on the side of the casket and put both of my hands on his chest. And I said, "Gary, for a dead guy, you're looking awful good, buddy, And I'm sure he dug that, A lot of people might say, "Oh, that's disrespectful or whatever, but you didn't know Gary. Me and Gary were close. And I'm sure that he chuckled wherever he's at. I'm sure he just laughed and said, Craig, cracks me up, But I was outside there and in the lobby there, and I was out there where all these pamphlets were, and I noticed there was a whole stack of them laying there, and everybody had already gone in the thing and already gotten one. So I said, "Man," and I thought I was stood out there. I had a while to think about it. I goes, after everybody leaves here, this funeral home's just going to probably throw those in the trash, So after everybody was gone, everybody went over to the gravesite, and I went over, and there was a still big stack of them there. So I grabbed about a dozen of them, and I grabbed about as many guitar picks, and put as many as I could in my inside of my jacket. I couldn't get all that many in there. I wish could have got more, because they, like I said, they probably ended up in the trash. And God, everybody I've talked to that I tell I had some of those things, they go, God, I want one. I want one. And the one that's going up on eBay, the guys that are bidding on them are going, please pull that off and just let me buy it. And I said, no, I don't do that. I don't set prices for things I sell on eBay, never have. And I said, I put everything up at 99 cents and it rolls. I don't pull it and sell it. They said, I'll name your price. I goes, no, I don't do that. And they say, well, whenever it sells, if you have another one, I'll buy it off of you. And I've got like a half a dozen people wanting me to give, I don't know how much, probably as much as $500 for one of those sets, but I'm not going to do that, but anyways, yeah, but a lot of people think I'm disgusting because I'm giving some of these away, and I put one up on eBay, and they think I'm just disgusting because I'm selling Gary's funeral thing on eBay. Oh, I'm just a disgusting pig, and I'm ruining the legacy of Lynyrd Skynyrd. Come on, man. If anybody's doing the most they can to uphold the legacy of Lynyrd Skynyrd, it's Ma and Ed Griffith or Griff Martin over there. I mean, I've spent thousands of dollars on this podcast material, and if you ever watch podcasts before, they're always going, hey man, send me $50, send me $100, help us keep this podcast rolling. Have you seen us do that? No, you have not. We have absorbed the whole cost of this, and we haven't asked anybody for 1 cent, but we have surpassed that 1,000 mark now. So I looked at the analytics and I told Griff, I said, buddy, we made 3 cents.
Yeah.
So, but it would really be cool if this thing would really take off. I know, I'm not qualified to do this. And this guy that's dissing me on because I'm selling that brochure, he's saying that I got brain damage and I'm this and I'm that, and he's made about 25 derogatory comments on me, and everybody that goes on there and says, I've met Craig, he's a nice guy, he unfriends them. The only bad person on there that's saying anything wrong about me is him, and then the last comment, he's called somebody and said, man, get on there and say something bad about him. Well, if he did that, he's disgusting. I don't know what's going on. I don't care. I've been in the music business long enough to know when your name's out there, somebody's going to find shit to talk about you, so just have at it, man. I know what the relationship with me and Gary was, and sorry you didn't have it, and I'm sorry if you're jealous because you didn't have it, and I'm sorry that I have some of these brochures and you don't, but whatever. But me destroying the legacy of Lynyrd Skynyrd, give me a break, man. I am what I am because of that band. I ain't much, but dang, I got people wanting me to write a book about my life, not just Lynyrd Skynyrd, about my life. They find my life amusing, want to know all about my 5 ex-wives and every other thing about my thing. But you know what? I'm going to stop jibber jabbering here, and I just wanted to talk about, my little adventure on eBay. And when I put that up, I knew it was going to happen. I knew there was going to be people that, that Craig, he just, blah, 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 blah. And when I told my son Chad I was going to go, he said, oh, Dad, please don't do that. Oh, I'll catch so much hell from that, And I said, I don't give a crap, People think, people out there that weren't friends of Gary's and are fans, they think like of Gary as some kind of a god or something, and Gary's my friend, I mean, you have a friend, you don't think of your friends as a god, I mean, I've saved Gary's life a couple of times. One time in particular over in Germany when he was drunk running around the town in Germany yelling because we couldn't get breakfast at 3:00 in the morning. He was breaking windows and cussing and yelling a bunch of krauts and stuff. And
Gosh.
oh man, he was pounding on this bar. Oh boy. I don't know what would have happened, but anyways, we made it out of that one. And there's several times I've kind of been there when things would have got real bad with Gary if I wouldn't have been there. So anything I do with Gary, he understands, and we're buddies, and I don't care what anybody says. I know he's enjoying it, and I think he'd feel great if that dang brochure of him dying would go for $5,000. We could get it in the Guinness Book of World Records. That'd give him a legacy. A guy dies, and a week later he gets $5,000 for his brochure at his funeral. Oh, but no, none of this is funny. I'm sorry. But anyways, at Whitey's, oh my God, we had a fun time out at Whitey's, and there was even some guy that told me I was an asshole. Well, pardon my language, because I didn't give him enough time to prepare to go to Jacksonville to go to that. And we should have not disgraced the band or whatever by putting this on in such short notice. Well, gee, I'm sorry. I just heard the schedule on Thursday and it was on Monday, and so it is what it is, dude. I'm sorry you couldn't make it, but a lot of people had a hell of a good time there, including me. Hell, I even drank about 5 or 6 Guinnesses on the House of Whitey's. I was eating and drinking for free. They was having a good time. I think even the owner got a little smashed out there. But anyways, that was a good time out there, and we did a tour of the Hell House and the Van Zandt House and the grave sites, and Griff's got all that on film. And that at the end of me jibber jabbering and all this, and I don't know what Griff's got planned, we're gonna take off on the road with Griff Martin on podcast 64 of the STONED Roadie Show. So what do you got for us tonight, Griff?
Well, first off, I like to thank Craig for getting me my new microphone. You guys probably noticed that. And man, it's made quite a difference. And I got these headphones on and I can hear myself. And Craig, I got to ask you, now that you got me this new microphone, if you die, can I take this old one with your signature on it and sell it on eBay the next day after you die?
Yeah, man.
So I have permission for that.
Oh, yeah. Sell it. Yeah, you're not a dirty SOB for selling something with my name on it. Matter of fact, if you get $5,000 out of it, I'll roll over in my grave.
Well, the other thing too is I think Gary kind of knew you needed the money, and so the powers to be, however it worked out, made sure that there was plenty of brochures and guitar picks for Craig to grab, because he got a traffic ticket on the way home and he needed some extra money. How much was that? About $400 there in Georgia?
I don't even know yet. That I'm a super speeder for doing 95, and that's $200 on top of the other one, and they send you that separately,
And Craig said, I said, well, did the cops smell any weed in the car? And he said, no, I hadn't smoked a joint in about an hour before that. Well, so yeah, it was a good trip, I think, for Craig. He didn't end up getting in a crash or anything, but he did have to go bury his friend. And then, when he gets back, he hears a bunch of shit from somebody trashing him about selling a brochure. But, you know, Gary thinks it's funny. I think those guys are all up there hanging out together, and they're looking down, laughing their ass off at Craig. So that's the way we have to think about it anyway.
Man,
right?
them guys, you know, they're on, man, that Craig, he's something else. He'll,
Yeah, they're saying, we can't wait to get Craig up here,
you know, yeah.
But
whatever.
yeah, we went to back at the funeral, Craig. So who all was there? Paul Rogers, his drummer.
I didn't know that was Paul Rogers. He got up to the phone and up to the mic, and he kind of was yelling and over modulated. He was like, "Oh, pardon me, I'm a singer," and I'm going, I'm trying to figure out who that is, and I looked in the brochure, and it didn't say anything about him being in there, and I kind of blew it off, and then I saw him and Dale and the girls over singing "Amazing Grace" over at the side of the grave site, and I didn't really know who it was, and then somebody said it was Paul, and I didn't recognize him, you know, because I kind of know him, you know. But
well, I saw a picture of you, and he was standing in the picture, and you had your back.
I didn't even know it was him.
Didn't even know. And Ricky Medlock was over there, and Craig was just wandering around. He didn't give a shit who was in there, you know.
I enjoyed seeing Bob, you know, Kid Rock. I was like, I hadn't seen him for a while.
And was Artimus there too?
Artimus was there, yeah.
So there are quite a few people. And then, you know, before the whole thing at Whitey's, we were hearing, oh, that's a horrible thing. You guys are over there celebrating Gary dying, you know. And so, no, we were over there and we were celebrating Gary's life. It was, you know, a celebration of life for Gary.
I took those STONED Roadie business cards with me, and I signed about 100 of them, just gave them away, you know. And heck, my son Chad was there. Even Chad was signing autographs.
Yeah, we were giving away Hell House stickers, you know, and we were just going around meeting people, and it wasn't anything being sold, you know. I mean, that's what people were worried about, but we were having a blast, and we were celebrating Gary, and we had a lot of great musicians up there. We heard a lot of new musicians, you know, Buddy Crump, Zach Lane, and Brandon Miller was up there, and just about everybody that was anybody was hanging out up there. So if you guys didn't get to come, sorry for the short notice, but we didn't know Gary was going to die, and we only had a couple days to put it together. So, you know, we can't help the notice that we gave. We did our best, but we had a great time. Craig made it back in one piece, and so that's what we got for you today. We got the On the Road with Griff Martin up there at Whitey's. I filmed pretty much the whole thing. And
that was Pam. Not to interrupt you, but I want to thank Pam, my friend Pam, and her husband Dave was the one playing the harmonica.
Oh yeah.
And man, oh man, I'm gonna tell you what, when they were up there jamming, when Dave came in and started playing a harmonica, I just went, whoa, man. I mean, that house was full, man. Chad said it sounded big, you know. They just had a little PA system in there, and he said, but the sound was large, and he said, man, there was people in there going, this is the best concert I've ever been to, you know. I said, boy, they haven't been to many concerts to go to a jam at Whitey's, but it was pretty doggone good, I have to admit, man. Zach and Buddy Crump, man, those two, and Brandon Miller too, but Zach and Buddy Crump, I heard, you know, he's with Fortune Child, and I heard that he was talking to Ed King and some of the older guys that were up there jamming. You know, there were a bunch of older Jacksonville musicians, you know, very, you know, well-rounded, you know, a bunch of good guys. But one of them was wanting to get together with Buddy Crump, and I guess Buddy asked Ed King about it, and Ed King said, find some guys your own age, So he took that advice, and a lot of people saw him and Zach up there playing together, and they said, the torch has been passed, but these young guys, man, they're just, coming up. The torch has been passed.
That's just like Ed King told Ronnie to write your own music, quit playing these cover songs, to write your own music. And then when
that was actually
Ronnie,
Dwayne Allman that said that.
Oh yeah, was it Dwayne? Because I remember Ed hearing an interview where he mentioned that. So maybe they both.
Yeah, that was Dwayne Allman. They were playing in clubs, and Dwayne said, "Man, you guys are good, but you're gonna have to write." So that's.
But those are young guys. Buddy Crump, Zach Lane, Brandon
Zach's
Miller.
20.
Yeah,
Zach's 20. Man, he's got hundreds of thousands of. He's a TikTok sensation. My son Chad called me and goes, "Dad, you got to look at this kid on TikTok, man. He looks just like Gary and plays just like Gary and Alan, and he does a split screen where he's Gary on one side and Alan on the other." And I said, "I don't do TikTok." He goes, "Oh, I know." So I got on there and I said, "Whoa." I called Chad back. I go, "Whoa, man, where are these kids coming from?" Oh, God. But I guess his dad is kind of a musician too, and I guess he's even the singer in Zach's band. I guess they have a band that's pretty good. His dad's the singer and stuff. But there's not many. He said there's not many musicians in his city.
Well, we appreciate those guys coming to WHITEY'S and then Buddy Crump, he wasn't going to come down there, but at the last minute, I think he decided he wanted to be there. And what a great decision he made for that. Cause all of those guys there together at once, what great music that was. Anybody who was there, they're going to remember that for a long time.
Yeah, Brandon Campbell brought Buddy Crump out. Yeah. I think he talked him into it.
And there was a lot of old school guys there, and we're not going to mention too many. You'll see them in the video, but we got a few people that we met there that are willing to come on the podcast and talk about. And there's one guy there, and I'm not going to mention his name. I heard the best Alan Collins story I've ever heard in my life from this guy.
Oh my God, yeah, yeah. And what's funny is I never met the guy, and he was like really good friends with Alan, and he came into the picture right after I left in like 92. Finally, I left in 92. That's when he came into the picture. And my son Chad, him and my son Chad because Chad used to go out there all the time, and Chad was out there a few times when he was out there, and him and Alan got in a big fight one time, and I think he's going to tell that story. But Chad, the guy found out that I was Chad's dad, and he went, "I never put the two and two together that that was your dad," Of course, I didn't really know the guy but he's known Chad for years. But
he just found that out. He just found that out at WHITEY'S because he
was saying that I was in the Alan Collins band, and I went, "No, you weren't. That's why I left. The Alan Collins band dissolved. I had to go back to work. I went to work with Marshall Tucker, and I said, "No, you weren't." And he goes, "Well, it was after they dissolved. Alan was trying to put the band back together. I guess like Steve
Reynolds. He was playing drums.
Yeah.
He had his drum set over at Alan's house.
Yeah, and he had some guys over there. They were, all kind of were the second coming of Alan Collins band, but that never happened. But those guys, big guys. He's played with David Allan Coe and a bunch of people.
Yeah, there was a lot of really talented guys there, and nobody rehearsed anything. They all came down there and started jamming, and that unrehearsed jamming. Buddy Crump on the slide, Zach on the slide, Brandon kicking out that free bird, and just
What was funny was I think some of them local Jacksonville guys was trying to chump Zach and Brandon out because they were out of town kids coming in, and we'd advertise they were coming down. They say, "Wait, they ain't going to come down here and steal the town from us," you know. So
yeah,
they wanted Zach to come up and Zach went up there to play guitar, and they handed him a bass guitar, and he went, "Oh, okay," and he just started playing bass, you know, and the guy, the guitar player, I think, you know, he kept kind of looking around at Zach like he was lagging or something, you know, and whatever, you know, and yeah, and then and then he relinquished the guitar, and then and Zach got up on a guitar, and I never saw him return after that. I think
well, I saw a guy walk
burn up the stage, and then burn up the stage for them kids, and they got their asses handed to them a couple of
times. I saw the guy, he grabbed the guitar from Zach, you know, and said, "Man, I've been playing a long time. Let me have that guitar." I don't know who it was. And then he handed Zach a bass, and he goes, Here, you play bass."
Zach says, "Okay, whatever."
Zach was like, "Whatever." And then Zach commenced to start shredding the bass. You know, it's like, damn, what can this guy, you know, what else can
he started out playing drums. So I think he's multi instrumented or whatever.
But yeah, those guys, man, they got up there, and I didn't record all of the footage. I just took like highlights from them playing. If you go on to YouTube and Google WHITEY'S and Gary Rossington, you're going to see a lot of video that was taken. So, you know, if you guys don't get enough of the music from what we're going to show you, then just go on YouTube and Google WHITEY'S and Gary Rossington Celebration of Life, and you're going to see there's a lot of recording went on down there, wasn't there, Craig? It's just all kinds.
Yeah,
of
they talked me into getting up on the microphone twice, you know. Yeah, and then the second time, Joe Crimp actually talked me into getting up there the second time. He wanted me to
that's right. Joe did,
remind everybody why we were gathered here today, you know, to celebrate, you know, to remember Gary Rossington's passing. You know, that's kind of why we're here, because Joe Crump. You know, when I say Joe, me and Gary were best friends, well, so were Gary and Joe Crump, you know, Crimp. I mean, Gary had a lot of very close friends, man. You know, he really did. Tommy George and Michael Lewis, Big Lou. I saw Big Lou there at WHITEY'S. That was real cool. I hadn't seen Lou in a long time.
And Joe Barnes. Joe Barnes was up there.
Joe Barnes, he's done an interview. You're going to see Joe Barnes on doing an interview. We've tried to get Joe on to get a podcast several times, and he's kind of wouldn't do it. But we finally captured him away, and guy talked him into it.
Yeah, I got him cornered in an interview. He didn't want to do it, but he once he did it, he was all right with it, you know. So he did, we got to talk to him, and that was pretty awesome. You guys are going to like that part of what you're going to be seeing. So, yeah, a lot of great skin formation going to come out of that WHITEY'S thing, because we met so many people there that are going to come on the podcast, and we're going to have like a breakthrough of new information from all these people, right, Craig? I mean, a ton of people up there that knew Gary and Alan and all the guys in the band, you know, that we didn't even meet yet, you know.
Yeah, there's a bunch of good stuff coming up. I got a pretty interesting situation going on in my life right now that I'm just totally amused to see what the heck's going to happen here. We're going to talk about it on the Stone Roadie show here coming up. I don't know how long it's going to take to work out, but I got a whole way off the wall, man.
Yeah, I know a little bit about it. You guys aren't going to want to miss this one.
It's way off the wall, man.
Yeah.
About the private life of Craig Reed. You'd think that my interesting stories about my past 5 wives, boy, I got a doozy coming up.
Craig might end up getting a reality show out of this podcast.
Oh my God. Whoa. This is
I've been over to Craig's house and it's a reality show over there. So
I got some characters to show up here.
Anyway, so what do you want to do, Craig? You want to go ahead and kick off the
let's roll with it. We've been jibber jabbering enough, man. I think we covered everything. Well, what we didn't cover this time, we'll cover somewhere down the road. When we started these things, we said, God, we just don't know where to start. And we're probably going to be redundant with a lot of things that we talk about, and God, things we've talked about, people are still saying, well, why don't you talk about this? And we go, we did that back in the early days, and people want us to rehash that stuff. So we're going to be covering things over and over and over. So if we forgot something today, we can take it up, man. I think we were talking about doing a Saturday night special this Saturday, maybe.
Yeah, we got plenty of stuff to do.
We got so much stuff coming up, man. We got to gulp it, put it all together before people back out of their obligation to do it or whatever. Yeah, you got that thing coming up with Muscle Shoals. You've been putting it together. That's
coming up. Probably going to go next month for that. I'm trying to dial in a time. I got a really nice lady. Her name's Tammy Deaton or Deason. Sorry about that, Tammy. I'll have to look your name up, but she's helping me quite a bit with that Muscle Shoals. And she's lining up a bunch of people that were swampers, and they were running the soundboards. And we're going to get a lot of really cool information from Muscle Shoals. And she met all the guys in Lynyrd Skynyrd and, had one-on-one visits with them and spent a lot of time with them. So she's got a lot of stories, just her alone. So we're gonna go ahead and run up there to Muscle Shoals in about another month and come back with some good footage there. But for the Whitey's thing, I just like to thank Gene Odom, because Gene Odom went down there and secured Whitey's. He talked to the owner and said, because I was talking to Gene and I was saying, Gene,
let me interrupt you though. Wait a minute. Griff called me and said, hey, you're coming down here, man. I think it'd be really cool if you and Gene got together and maybe did a little meet and greet or something, and we put something together where you guys could do a meet and greet after the Gary ceremony, because there's people coming in from long ways away, and after 3 o'clock's over, they're just going to be here with nothing to do. It'd be real cool if we could put something together. And I guess, yeah, whatever, I'll roll with it, And then you called me back and you said, yeah, Gene said he's cool with it, and you were trying to think of some place to go, and I don't remember if I suggested Whitey's because Gene was out there or whatever. I don't remember, but next thing I knew, Gene was going out to Whitey's, and go ahead and finish off from there.
Yeah, so Gene drove down to Whitey's, and he lives in Inverness, which is like 3 hours away, and he talked to the owner, the guy, Billy, and what a great guy, man. He set up some tables for us and got us to stage in the back for those guys to jam, and gave Craig a tour. And I
talked to him. Gene put him on the phone with me when he was down there talking to him, just to make sure that I was going to come down and see what was going on. He goes, man, I'm going to have to hire bring in some extra help. And he said, man, this is the best crowd, best crowd we've had in here ever, I think.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That place was packed.
Yeah, it was great.
There was people out there looking for a place to park. We were out there smoking a joint, and people were going, "Are you leaving?"
And it's almost like it was ordained. Like Gary came down and said, "Man, we got to jam this up because everybody was playing so good." I mean,
It was cool.
Yeah, it was like it was practiced, but it wasn't. So yeah, really cool. So you want to go ahead and play the footage, Craig?
Yeah, let's go ahead and take off with this edition of the Stone Roadie Show in memory of Gary Rossington.
Yeah, we love you, Gary. And, just like Ronnie said, you're not forgotten until you're forgotten. So
you're not dead till you're forgotten.
We're never going to forget you, Gary. We love you, man. And so we're going to go ahead and close it out, and we're going to bring you on the road with Griff Martin to Whitey's and a celebration of life for Gary Rossington. All right, on the road with Griff Martin, and I'm at Whitey's Fish Camp. And now this is the day of Gary Rossington's funeral, and we decided to do a little celebration of life down here for Gary. We decided to meet down here with a lot of people that were Gary's friends and fans of Gary and Lynyrd Skynyrd, and we thought it was probably a great idea to celebrate Gary's life. And so we all met down here, and we've got so many people down here that are meeting down here after the funeral, and I think Gary would really appreciate this and love it, because we're all down here just remembering how great it was to have Gary in our lives as far as a musician, and Lynyrd Skynyrd, and these are just people that are just really happy to get to meet fans and roadies and people that were part of Lynyrd Skynyrd. And so we're going to walk in here and we're going to take a look at some people that have showed up, and let's see what we got here so far. And it's still early, so right here we got a couple guys that drove down from Ohio, and this is this is a couple guys that made a trek down here to attend the little celebration for Gary Rossington, and they drove a long way, and I think you guys came for Bike Week. But decided to stop off. Yeah.
Had to stop here.
So what do you think so far? A lot of people here, right? Cool people.
It's getting packed now.
Yeah. So we're all here. And Gary Rossington, what do you think, man? Great musician. We love him. We're here celebrating his life. And so we're gonna drink a couple beers and say, "We love you, Gary," and we're going to pass it on, right? Hey, we appreciate you guys coming out, right? And this is Automotive Jeff, who he takes care of Craig's website and everything, and he's been on the Stone Roadie Show, and as you can see, he drove all the way down from Ohio, just like Craig, and he's here, and we're setting up some
awesome people down here.
Oh yeah, I mean, and they accommodated us here down at Whitey's to make sure that we had a great table and everybody was comfortable and happy. And now we got some instruments being set up over here, and we're going to be doing some jamming.
Yes, sir.
All right. And over here we got Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller. Everybody knows Brandon Miller. You know, we had him on the podcast. He's going to be up here doing a little freestyle jamming.
Hell yeah, man. Y'all come on out and see us. We're starting about 8 o'clock.
So you know, I mean, it's going to start getting a little crowded here after the funeral, but hey, we appreciated Gary Rossington, right? You know, we love him.
Yeah, we just left his funeral. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Bittersweet.
Yeah, what'd you think about the funeral there, Brandon?
It was beautiful.
And who all was there?
Kid Rock, Travis Tritt, Paul Rogers of Free and Bad Company showed up.
And you got to meet those guys?
I got a picture with Paul Rogers. I about fell out, man.
Hey, Zach Lane, get over here, Zach Lane. This is Zach Lane. This is
right here, man.
This is the Gary Rossington look-alike. Hey, Jimmy, here's Jimmy. Everybody knows Jimmy Withers.
What's up, babe?
So you were at you got to shake Paul Rogers' hand, right?
I did.
And you hugged Dale Krantz, and she said, "You look just like my husband."
She said I was pretty in that.
She said he was beautiful.
Yeah,
She did. She told herself, "You're beautiful." She even caressed his hair.
Didn't do that.
Yes, she did. Yes,
Well,
she did.
well, she remembers back in the day when Gary was young, you know, and she remembers because he does look a lot. I always say that Gary must have been touring at the same time that Zach's mother was in town, right? Because. And tell your dad I'm just joking, all right?
He's probably watching right now, to be honest.
So what's going to happen tonight? You guys going to do a little jam session here at Whitey's?
Let anybody, probably let several people come up and jam, because we don't want it to be just us.
Right. And I heard that Derek Hess might be showing up. We're hoping he shows up.
Supposed to come jam on drums, and Tommy Rocks is here of his Skynyrd Tribute Band.
What guitars did you bring, Brandon?
I brought my Alan Collins Firebird, the 64.
Oh, wow.
Firebird 3, and we brought a Les Paul for Zach to play. We got a bunch of, that's really about it. We bought a bunch of cool stuff. We wanted to bring the SG, but it was too expensive to fly.
Yeah. Well, you got to be careful with that stuff, right? Zach, you all got your fingers all limbered up? Brandon, you got your fingers all limbered up? You going to play a little Freebird?
Yeah, we're going to send Gary off a Freebird last.
Well, hey, we appreciate you guys coming out, and this is another On the Road with Griff Martin unofficially. So, you know, we're gonna put this on the podcast, I'm sure.
Sounds great, man.
And I'm gonna record you guys up there really jamming it out, man. So, looking forward to it.
Absolutely. We are too.
All right, we'll be back with you. All right, let's go over here and see who else we got. We got Joe Crimp. Joe Crimp, now he hates a camera, right? But this is Lynyrd Skynyrd family, Joe Crimp. And Joe, we appreciate you coming out. We love you. And he was on about a 2-hour podcast with Lynyrd Skynyrd Information. It was like 3 hours, but it was one of the most viewed podcasts. So thank you for coming out, Joe. Actually, he rode with me, so he's riding home with me too. We'll see you, Joe. And then over here, who's this guy over here?
Can I take one of these?
Is that Craig
Can I
Reed?
have one? Thank you so
Is that
much.
Craig Reed signing a damn autograph down here?
Signing stacks
What the heck is going on?
Stone Roadies business.
You know, this is an unofficial On the Road with Griff Martin, Craig. So, you know,
All right.
so you're going to have to do a little intro on the podcast with it and everything.
I didn't know I was going to be
Look at all
working.
those cards he's got going there, man.
He got a clacker with him today, so he
Yeah, he don't have his clack.
He needs his clacker.
Now this is Chad Reed. This is Chad Reed, Craig's son's wife, Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Nobody's ever seen Lisa before.
Oh, never.
And these are some great fans of the Stone Roadie show. There's another guy right here. Appreciate you guys coming out. Got another one right here. All right, man. Here, hey, let me hook you up, man. It's just a sticker. Now we got Gene Odom. Gene Odom. What's happening, Gene? Say hi to everybody in podcast land for the Stone Roadie show.
This is what's left of Gene Odom.
So we're having a great time down here, and there's Chad Reed.
Something else, man.
That's Craig's son. You know?
See, he's here, the same thing. Yeah, it's a rumor. It's a rumor. 30 ass.
So these guys are setting up, and a little bit later we're going to get into some music, and we're going to come back with you later. All right, we have Billy here, and he's the owner of Whitey's, and he hooked us up with some really nice accommodations here because we were celebrating Gary Rossington's passing, and it's a meet and greet celebration of life. And Whitey's Fish Camp, we cannot thank you enough for making a nice accommodation for all the fans that could not get in to the funeral and they needed somewhere to go. And what's your history here, Billy? With
We've been here for
Whitey's?
60 years.
60 years?
October will be 60 years.
And so, was it like your family?
My father started this.
Your father?
He was in the Navy and came up here one day and ended up fortunate enough to buy the place and been here ever since.
And now this was Ronnie Van Zant's hangout back in the day,
They
right?
used to come here quite a bit. They used to fish out here in Dodders Lake all the time.
And they also, didn't they play here at Whitey's?
Not necessarily play, but they used to hang out here a lot.
Yeah, so they hung out here a lot because right down the road is Hell House.
Correct.
And so, and then Johnny Van Zant just lives right down the
And he
road.
comes in here a lot for dinner.
He comes in here for dinner a lot, brings family in here and stuff. And there's a lot of cool things on the walls, like from 38 Special and a lot of bands, Kurt Town Band. You know, you guys are like really hooked up with some.
We have a lot of great local talent in the area.
And Billy, you know, I'm sure over the years you've seen a lot of talent coming in and out of here, and you've got a lot of great bands that come in here and play all the time.
Yes, we do, yep. Matter of fact, Gabe Bullard, he just left. He used to do our Monday night jam night, and he left 2 weeks ago back up to Nashville, trying to make it big. So look for that name coming up.
Cool. So what we did was we were like, I was talking to Gene Odom and we said, you know, there's a lot of people that are not going to be able to make it into the funeral, and he said, well, I'll go down and talk. I know the owners of Whitey's and we'll see if they'll help us out. And sure enough, you guys set us up and you got us some tables and things and looked out for us. And anybody that's watching this podcast, get down to Whitey's, because Whitey's, they got great food, great service. There's like really cool things to see here, and it's a lot of fun, and they're very accommodating. So we appreciate you, Billy. Thanks so much. We got the owner of Whitey's here, and he's showing Craig Reed, the Stoned Roadie, all this memorabilia and stuff that's on the walls in here. This is cool kind of stuff, and you got the Stoned Roadie looking at all this stuff. And these were the guys that Craig was the head roadie for, so pretty cool.
A lot more around here.
Yeah, there's some other stuff. Guitars and things like that. I'm just following you guys around. Go ahead.
Finally get some rest, huh?
Gave us a ride up.
38 Special guitar right there.
Carol Rockey gave us a ride up.
Stuff here, don't they?
Yeah.
She gave me a book and gave me a diary.
Kind of like a museum right there. Molly Hatchet.
That man, that's the Stone Brother's son, I think. Oh, yeah. The brother's here. This album cover was actually, the pictures were taken here.
Oh, wow.
If you look at that right there, that's our Whitey's Fish Camp emblem. That was actually right down the street. And that's us up there in the picture with him up there. And then, and when I said Molly Hatchet played here for our 50th, that's their signed guitar up there in that one. Signed guitar here. Right here, we got some albums. We got these cool tables that, and this man right here, he did all this stuff. Joel. Joel's the creator.
Good job, Joel.
Joel's the creator of that stuff. You look up there.
Cool.
This is Joel's creation. He did all the cases and designed everything. That poster there, we actually was found in the attic of a house that we were remodeling.
Oh, wow.
And it actually happened to be, it actually was Judy Van Zandt's house. Parents' house.
We bought that, went to remodel
We
it,
actually bought it and remodeled
found
it.
that poster.
You got that one on your wall, correct?
I do, yeah.
But that was in the attic of Judy Van Zandt's parents' house. And we discovered it and restored it. And like I said, we got Molly Hatchet up there where they played here for our 50th. Back in 2013. And we just got little stuff all over the place.
Yeah, it's like a museum.
All right, here we are at Whitey's Fish Camp, and it's been a very exciting weekend and a very, I don't know how to say, been a very mournful weekend with the passing of Gary Rossington. And what we're scared of could be the end of the Skynyrd era, but it looks like it's still going to continue on. We're here at Whitey's, as I said, and you can hear the music in the background. They're having a celebration of life for Gary here. And, you know, we went to the funeral. We actually even got to meet Gary's two sisters, and one of his sisters was very nice. Well, both of them were, and gave us a ride out of the cemetery out to our car after we got to go into the gravesite. And she gave us a devotional book and gave me a program from the funeral. Real nice lady, both of them. Real nice. And we met Miss Dale Rossington right there at the front. I got to shake her hand and talk to her a little bit. So everything worked out good. We saw a lot of famous celebrities, and you know, I'm not going to elaborate on that. That's not what it was all about. It was there to pay our respects to Gary. We were here on behalf of the Lynyrd Skynyrd Monument in Gillsburg, Mississippi. And, you know, I'm president and all that, and I just felt like it was definitely my obligation to come down. And I'm glad we got to make this trip. And we've done an exciting weekend. We hope we've showed y'all a lot of scenes from Jacksonville, but the main purpose of the trip, remember, was to mourn the loss and the passing of Gary. And may he rest in peace. I'm glad that they had a great celebration of life here for him, and they had a nice funeral, a very respectful ceremony, very reflective, they said, with what we were told about it. And you would not just believe all the celebrities that turned out to show up for his pay tribute to him and the band and all that. So live from Jacksonville for the last time, and we're going home here pretty shortly. Y'all have a good March and St. Patrick's Day coming up, and we'll see you when we see you. Adios.
Okay, here we have Joe Barnes. Now, if you guys, I don't know, you guys remember Joe Barnes was at the Polk Theater. I invited him to come out, and he was up on stage with Craig Reed and Gene Odom, and he was answering questions. And now this is a guy right here that a lot of people have kind of been wanting to talk to and see in person, because this is an original roadie for Lynyrd Skynyrd before Craig Reed. And now this guy, actually, Joe, you knew Lynyrd Skynyrd before they even were named Lynyrd Skynyrd, right? When they were still basically 1%, right?
That's right.
And how was it that you came to know Ronnie Van Zant and Lynyrd Skynyrd?
Part of it was just being part of the music community. I played guitar, you know, and I was trying with a couple different garage bands, and I'll confess, I realize now I wasn't good enough, but I was trying. You know, we were all trying back then, okay? But still, I was part of the music community. And one thing that I was able to do, you know, with my equipment and stuff, I could make things work. I could fix things. And that's what I did. And I started helping other people out.
And one of the things I know that you did that you told me about was the way that you did the chords that were actually used. And you were even the guy who, whenever Skynyrd was playing on that stage, Nebworth with the Rolling Stones, you're the guy who rigged all those chords up before they went out on stage out there and everything, and that was your chords, right?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I walked out to the end and measured them. And
Leon's wasn't quite long enough, right? I mean, he
okay. I had a brand new roll of guitar cable. The Belden guitar cable that I used. It was heavy duty, 1/4-inch thick, 2-conductor shielded cable. I mean, it was high quality guitar cable. And I used every foot for those 3 cables for Alan, Gary, and Steve. Okay? And I was not going to have some gaff tape rigged up, splice, or anything that could foul up, for Leon, And, I'm embarrassed to this day. I didn't find some way to do something for him, but that's what happened.
Well,
the other guys got out, and that's an iconic moment. All 4 of them out there.
I think you did pretty good.
On Mick Jagger's tongue, Lynyrd Skynyrd dancing on Jagger's tongue.
And this is the guy right here that actually set all those chords up for Lynyrd Skynyrd out on the tongue.
I knew it was going to happen.
So you knew they weren't supposed to go out there, but they did anyway, and you were prepared for it.
Well, it wasn't that they weren't supposed to go out there. It was there. They were going to go out.
Right.
No ifs, ands, or buts.
So working with Lynyrd Skynyrd and being a roadie for those guys in the early days, that had to really be. I mean, did you expect those guys to end up becoming so big and famous?
Look, it started for me when I helped them out for a show they did. It was like at the Cedar Hills Armory in July, at the 1st of July, okay? And I lent him some equipment, a guitar amp that Billy used for his piano, some PA stuff. And, after the show, I was packing stuff up, okay? And Ronnie came by to say thanks. He's pretty gracious about stuff like that. And I said, hey, Ronnie, need someone to go on the road, why don't you give me a call? And he said, yeah, man. He was friendly, right? 2 weeks later, I got a call. I mean...
So the next thing you know, you were on tour with them, huh?
Well, on tour meant that Kevin and Bob or Billy and I were in the front seat of the truck, old blue, and the rest of the guys, 3 in the front seat and 3 in the back seat of an old Cadillac sedan.
Wow.
And we traveled together in case one of them broke down. Every now and then one did, so that was the way.
And you were with the guys when they met Craig Reed, right? You were with them in Ohio when they met.
That was after the Who tour. That he was at the hotel, showed up or something.
And here we have Chad.
Photobomb.
So, do you remember the first time you laid eyes on Craig? What were your thoughts about him? What is this guy here doing?
Hey, I didn't care. I just met him. I didn't know what was going to happen.
He had some weed, didn't he?
I think so.
Yeah.
I like to smoke pot. I'm legal. I have a card.
Well, back then nobody was legal, but we still like to smoke pot.
We're not supposed to talk about that.
Right.
I'm legal.
Well, I tell you what a great honor to have Joe Barnes sitting here. I mean, this is Lynyrd Skynyrd royalty right here.
I
This
didn't realize
guy.
how famous I was.
Did you did you have a lot to do with amplifiers and things like that back then?
I made things work, And mainly it was, okay, first of all, having high quality cables.
Yeah, that was important.
Simply having, good solder connections that weren't shorting out, with high quality ends and weren't going to break off, because back then, you go to a music store and you want to buy a guitar cord, they get you this little plastic thing that's, no bigger than a kite string.
Yeah.
With a little tiny plastic end, and they just break, they rattle, they're only 6 feet long. And and rattle is, that's the little trick that you're sort of talking about, where I floated one end, the guitar end, and it seemed to reduce the rattle, the noise, where when the cable gets kicked around. The cheap cables make a lot of noise.
Yeah.
These cables didn't make much noise. No cable's perfect, but
So you had little tricks of the trade that those guys appreciated to make things sound better, and that's why they decided they need Joe Barnes here to kind of tweak things and make it sound good, because we need all the help we can get, and you were that guy.
And I figured that I just dodged the draft. The draft ended.
Yeah.
That I got a letter report, and I went and got physical and everything. They told us, y'all stick around till we decide what to do. And next month, next end of the draft. And so I was kind of trying to figure out what to do.
Is there any one thing that you would say was the most memorable time for you working with Lynyrd Skynyrd? Anything in particular that you can remember that was like?
I got 1,000.
You got 1,000. Anyone that stands out?
Opening for the Who.
Yeah.
Coming from where we were, traveling around the South. And really right before we left, I think we did a show at the big Omni Coliseum thing.
Yeah.
Where we were supposed to open for Focus, but they didn't show up. We were there, and there were some people there, and they said, you won't get paid unless you play. So we turned around, faced back, and went through the house PA and played.
Oh, yeah.
And Focus never showed up. And then we flew out to California to the Cow Palace. When we got there, people were circling around it. Waiting to get in. It was wild.
And so when you saw that, you realized, wow, these guys are pretty big here, huh?
No, come on now. It was Who. It was Who.
Right, but Lynyrd Skynyrd was.
This was 1974. Now, if that was 1964, well, who is the Who? No, this is 1973, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. The Who. It's like Beatles, Stones, Who, and the Heart.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And then everybody else, then there was, back.
Now, were you were out of Muscle Shoals, weren't you, when they did some recording? Didn't you go out there some?
I was there with Ed King for a couple weeks, and it's just, it's really a blur. We were coming back from somewhere, and we stopped there for a couple of days, and he overdosed on some tracks.
Oh, okay.
It was real.
Because I had heard that you were there. A couple guys from Muscle Shoals that I've been talking to, they remembered you and stuff like that.
Really?
So, yeah. So, because we're getting ready to make a trip out to Muscle Shoals, and we're going to go out there and talk to some people that were there when Skynyrd were recording.
I've got a T-shirt.
Oh, yeah?
Muscle Shoals T-shirt.
Cool.
It's famous there. Lots of people have it.
So touring around with Skynyrd, you were in hotels with them and stuff like that, and you were on the road in the truck. I mean, it's not like you were on some like roadie bus. You were with the band. You were with those guys. Ate, drank, sleep with them, and
Yeah, somebody wants to say hello to you. Okay, she's gone.
Yeah. So anyway,
You can edit that out.
what? Now that we're here out at Whitey's, and you know we're kind of celebrating Gary Rossington, a little bit about Gary Rossington. What's your thoughts on the passing of Gary Rossington? What you got to say about Gary?
Well, he's about 4 or 5 months older today. Okay. Another old friend of mine also passed away at Christmas time. You know, I'm facing my own mortality.
Yeah, we all are.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I know when you came out to the Polk Theater, that's what's really weird is when you were at the Polk Theater, we were celebrating a friend of mine who'd had a heart attack, and then it wasn't long after that you'd had a heart problem, and
I'd been on a downward slide with having high blood pressure. That's another issue. Anyway, I ended up going in. Finally got doctor's attention. Got the heart doctor to take a look, and he listened some. Had me go in for tests the next day for a stress test, and then the next morning he called me himself. Said, "Mr. Barnes, glad you're alive." You know?
Right. So
Then he sent me in for an angioplasty. Well, they couldn't do the angioplasty, and they wouldn't let me move. They said, "No, you stay right here. We're moving you to the big hospital for bypass surgery." Now it's quadruple bypass.
Wow. So you're all squared away now. You feeling good?
I am.
Great.
And I'm getting my strength back. It's like, you know, teleworking, you know, being sedentary, and you know, having the high blood pressure. It's like slowly weakening, and I'm gaining strength now, feeling a lot.
So you were working with Lynyrd Skynyrd, and then finally you left from Lynyrd Skynyrd, and you started doing some financing things. Isn't that what? Or you were an accountant or something?
Yeah, I was very white bread growing up, you know, and yeah.
And you're still working, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But no, when I started for Skinner, like I said, I always got drafted. I dropped out of school. I finished my first 2 years of college. Okay? After I got thrown off the plane, I went back and finished school. I got a degree in finance, and a few years later I went back and got another degree in accounting and took CPA exam.
Well, it's a good thing. It's a good thing you weren't on the plane when it crashed, huh? Do you ever think about that?
Yes.
Yeah, because you quite possibly and probably would have been, and so
I could be dead now.
yeah, the good Lord pulled you off of there, you know, just like you know, you should have been doing what you were doing instead of being on that plane. So that's good. Well, we appreciate you, Joe Barnes. You know, a lot of people been wanting to talk to you. You know, been wanting to hear from Joe Barnes, and Craig has been trying to, you know, reach out to you, and we finally got you. And thanks for being on the podcast with us. And man, what a great surprise to run into Joe Barnes down here at Whitey's Fish Camp. And this is Lynyrd Skynyrd royalty right here. You know, one of the first roadies for Lynyrd Skynyrd.
You're flattering. No.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, Griff.
Right there.
Big Lou right here.
How can you beat it?
Yeah. Don't get no better.
Don't get any better. You guys can trade autographs.
Ohio still. Yeah.
back here under
What's up,
guitars, man. Let me see that guitar there, Brandon. See what?
Alan Collins Firebird 3.
Yeah, we've been waiting for you to break that puppy out, you know.
Signed by Tom Murphy himself from the Gibson Custom Shop.
Wow, that is sweet.
Only one in the world that's an exact replica, inside and out.
That is really cool, man.
Yeah, we're gonna break it out here at Whitey's tonight.
You getting ready to jam?
Yep.
All
We're
right.
gonna do Mr. Breeze, and we're gonna do I Know Little. Zach's gonna play I Know Little. Then we're gonna do I Think That Smell. Then we're gonna close the night with Freebird in memory of Gary.
All right, man. We're gonna be spring loaded, ready for it.
Hell yeah!
All right, Brandon.
Lay around in the shade. I ain't got no money, but I damn sure got it made. I ain't asking nobody for nothing. I can't get it all out. You don't like the way I'm country boy on.
Hey, wait, Joe Barnes, where you at? Hey, Joe Barnes, where are you? Hey, shut up, bro. Hey, my name is Craig Reed, and I'm down here for the funeral of Gary Rossington. And here, hey, Joe Barnes, here's Joe Barnes. I'm an original Lynyrd Skynyrd roadie and a survivor of the airplane crash. There's only 2 of us left. Me and ARTIMUS were there today. It was a really great ceremony they had for Gary, but they wanted me to come up and announce these 2 here. Joe, come on up here. Joe Barnes was with Kevin Nelson, and they were the original roadies for Lynyrd Skynyrd when they did the Who tour. And then I got hired, and Joe, and I was kind of I knew how to acquire some things. That's why they hired me, basically. But Joe kind of taught me how to do drums, and I started doing drums. Here, you talk to him. They can hear you. You're a mechanic. I was a mechanic in Ohio. I was a certified Oldsmobile technician. I was a gearhead. I like hot rods and stuff, you know. And that's kind of like why I got along with the band, because everybody knows Alan Collins like hot rods and stuff. I mean, you see these T-shirts with the hot rods and stuff. Everybody knows that the band and Alan like hot rods, you know. But anyways, they wanted me to come up. I do a podcast, and y'all want to tune into it. It's called the STONED Roadie Show. All the scam information y'all want to know is on the STONED Roadie Show. And I'm your host, Craig Reed, and my co-host, Griff Martin, is down here, and we're doing a podcast right here tonight at WHITEY'S Fish House. Hey, and there's Gene Odom. I forgot Gene Odom.
Listen, folks, y'all know me. This is what heavy drug use will do to you.
I forgot Gene was here.
Craig is original, way back to Skynyrd, way back into the early 70s. And Joe Osborne, they were original old crew members. Me and Ronnie were like that. I don't claim to fame. I don't none of that stuff, you know, about the airplane crash. I was on the plane, but I don't go around bragging and nothing like that. These guys are real Skynyrd. Gene Odom was just lucky enough to be a part of it. Thank you.
Yeah, I forgot Gene was here today. Yeah, anyways, yeah. I come down to, to be at Gary's funeral and all that. It really was a great ceremony. It was, and there were some friends of mine here. I talked to Travis Trent and Bob, who y'all know as Kid Rock. He was there. Bob was there, and there was a few people there today that were pretty special. Paul Rogers was there. Only I didn't know that was Paul Rogers, so I didn't go up and talk to him because I didn't know it was him. I didn't know he was there. But anyways, enough said about me and the Stone Roadie show. All the Skinformation y'all want to know, you can find it at the Stone Roadie show. But anyways, yeah, these friends of mine, the Sixton Revolver, and it's Brandon Miller on guitar, and he builds guitars. He's built this guitar he's playing, he's built, and it's an Alan Collins, it's a Firebird, and it's an Alan Collins exact copy. And this guy here, he built an SG, and my buddy here from Ohio that I bought my car off of is how I met this character here. And he bought the SG that Brandon made. And then Zach Lane here, he's kind of a TikTok sensation, you know. He's kind of like he freaks me out, man. This kid is like, whoa.
400,000 followers.
50,000.
400.
50, it's not 400, don't let them lie to you.
But this kid, man, I drove down from Ohio and I was like burnt out, you know, and I was trying I had to get up and go to this funeral. I'd love to stay up and party with him last night. My son Chad here, I was staying at his house, and we had Brett Myers from the Phillies was there, and he's got a band, the Brett Myers band, and these guys were playing, and I'm laying there trying to rest, and I'm listening to this kid pull off these licks, and I'm going, God, man, this kid is something else, you know. But
This guy was burned out before he left Ohio.
he just said that because it's true. But anyway, I'm enough jibber jabber, but yeah, they just wanted me to come up here and introduce these guys, and they're friends of mine from out of town, and that's the reason they're here tonight, because of me. So this is Zach Lane, Brandon Miller, and my buddy here, Kurt Town Band. I got brain damage, so I'm horrible. But anyways, enough of that. But enough jibber jabber. We're here at the WHITEY'S Fish House, and we're kind of not celebrating the death of Gary Rossington, but we're kind of just acknowledging the fact that we just lost a true legend today. And from what I understand, today is the day that Lynyrd Skynyrd was inducted into the Rock Hall of Fame. So that's, he got buried on the day he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. So isn't that special? So we got something else going on here that's pretty special too, in my opinion. And here they are, Sixton Revolver.
right now. Y'all help us out with this one if you would. Damn, I ain't even worked up a sweat yet.
This concludes another edition of On the Road with Griff Martin, the Stoned Roadie podcast. It was a great time at Whitey's Fish Camp, all those great musicians, and none of that was rehearsed, man. They all got up there and did their own thing. Really enjoyed everybody that came out and took part. Got to meet a lot of fans of the Stoned Roadie show. Got to see some friends of Gary Rossington that were up there. Met a lot of people that I hadn't met before, so it was a really awesome time. Glad you guys joined us. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time on the Stoned Roadie Show.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep toking until then.